20 years ago, 50 Cent was a dominant presence on the radio with hit after hit. Just 3 years before his hit debut album, Get Rich or Die Trying, 50 Cent was shot 9 times at close range and dropped from Columbia Records. He went on from there to dominate hip-hop for the next decade and made a fortune as an early investor in vitamin water. Then in 2015, he declared bankruptcy. Then he came out of that to become one of Hollywood's most talked about and successful TV producers. So how did this gangster rapper that barely escaped death and went bankrupt become a powerhouse TV producer? Let's take a deep dive into Curtis Jackson, aka 50 Cent's astonishing journey in today's episode of Money Talks.
Is there a difference in the personality between Curtis Jackson and your persona as 50 Cent?
Yeah, well, Curtis Jackson is my grandmother's child. It's my grandmother's baby.
Oh.
That's when I clean up. When I clean up, I'm Curtis Jackson.
Can you show me the difference? Can you show me, like, who? This is Curtis.
This is Curtis.
And here's 50.
50 Cent was born and raised in the South Jamaican neighborhood of Queens, New York. He was raised by a single mother, Sabrina, until she passed when he was only 8 years old. His grandparents stepped in to take care of him after his mother passed and his father left. 50 took up boxing when he was only 11 and selling crack when he was still in primary school. He was arrested twice in 1994 for selling drugs and only served 6 months in a boot camp when his original sentence was for 3 to 9 years. He adopted the name 50 Cent, a name inspired by Kelvin Martin, a 1980s Brooklyn robber known as 50 Cent. He began rapping in his friend's basement and was introduced to Jam Master Jay of Run DMC in 1996. 50's first appearance was on React with Onyx for their 1998 album Shut 'Em Down. He was then signed to Columbia Records in 1999 and recorded his first studio album, Power of the Dollar, in 2000. 2 days before he was scheduled to film a music video for one of his first singles off that album, 50 was involved in the now infamous shooting outside his grandmother's former home in South Jamaica. Who shoots somebody in front of their grandma's home? God dang. 50 was sitting in a friend's car when the assailant, Daryl Homicide Bomb, who was Mike Tyson's close friend and bodyguard by the way, walked up to 50's car and shot him 9 times at close range. He was shot in the arm, hip, both legs, chest, and in the face in his left cheek. He had to use a walker for 6 weeks, but he recovered after only 5 months. And even though he did recover really fast physically, the shooting had left massive damage to his career. Columbia Records dropped him. With no prospect of a deal from any other record companies, 50 went to Canada and recorded over 30 songs for his mixtape and landed in the hands of a certain someone by the name of Eminem. Impressed by what he heard, Eminem invited 50 to fly to LA and introduce him to none other than the mega producer Dr. Dre. Dr. Dre wasted no time in signing 50 in a $1 million deal, and 50's debut album Get Rich or Die Trying followed soon after. The album sold 872,000 copies in its first 4 days, which for all you streamers was actually pretty crazy back then. 50's second album, The Massacre, sold even more copies, 1.14 million in its first 4 days. He became the first solo artist with 3 singles in the Billboard Top 5 in the same week with Candy Shop, Disco Inferno, and How We Do. His record label, G-Unit Records, also had successful artists like The Game, Young Buck, and Lloyd Banks on its roster. But 50 Cent's later albums did not score the same success as his first 2. Several factors played a role here, including a change in the sound of hip-hop and some conflict 50 was having with Interscope Records, which he had a distribution deal with. I was actually working at Interscope at that time. He also probably picked a bad beef with Kanye West. By that time, 50 had already established a solid investment portfolio outside of music. One of his biggest investments, aside from G-Unit's various business ventures, was a partnership with Glasso, an enhanced water company. He was given a minority share in the company in 2004 in exchange for becoming a spokesperson. The brand's famous drink is, of course, vitamin water, which later got sold to Coca-Cola for $4.1 billion. 50 walked away with a deal worth $100 million after taxes. Guys, please do your research and learn how to invest in businesses instead of hiding your money under your mattress. His other business ventures included real estate, mining, boxing promotion, consumer electronics, and vodka. With all of the success, it was a surprise when 50 filed for bankruptcy in 2015. That's until the details of his finances were revealed. The Chapter 11 bankruptcy filing came days after a jury ordered him to pay $5 million to Lastonia Levinston, Rick Ross's ex-girlfriend, for invading her privacy by posting an online sex tape of her and another man. He also had another case where he was ordered to pay $17.2 million to an ex-business partner. It was cited in court documents that 50 had between 10 and 50 million in assets and about the same amount in debt. At the same time, he owned 7 cars valued at more than $500,000 and had monthly expenses of $108,000 with monthly income of only $185,000. Remember that monster of a house 50 owned in Connecticut? The 50,000 square foot house was owned by Mike Tyson before 50 bought it. It had 21 bedrooms, 39 bathrooms, and 7 kitchens. Commenting on his decision to later sell the mansion, 50 once said, "You can have the 55,000 square foot, 37 bathrooms, 6 kitchens, and you're still going to sleep in only 1 bed." So if you look at everything, it was obvious he filed for bankruptcy to protect himself against the financial judgments he had out against him. By 2017, 50 had worked up a deal to pay off more than $22 million in debt to be discharged from bankruptcy. 50 Cent's journey to becoming a mega Hollywood producer actually started way before Power premiered in 2014. Do you guys all love Power? He founded 2 film production companies in the 2000s, one being G-Unit Films in 2003 and the other being Cheetah Visions in 2008. Cheetah Vision was producing low-budget action thrillers for foreign film markets when G-Unit Films, rebranded as G-Unit Films and Television Inc., started a joint venture with producer Will Packard's production company, Will Packard Productions. 50 pitched a crime drama to stars by the name of Power, which quickly became a ratings hit. By the time Power got to its 3rd season, it was the 2nd most watched show on cable, behind only one of my favorite shows of all time, Game of Thrones. 50 Cent was cast in a supporting role but serves as co-creator and executive producer. Although Power ended in 2020, it has spawned 4 more spin-off series, and 50 didn't stop there. Starz made a $150 million development deal with 50 in 2018. The network picked up the show's Black Mafia family and Queen Nzinga since then. He has also executive produced The Oath, For Life, and the documentary series Hip Hop Homicides. In 2023, 50 Cent inked a new television deal with Fox. The deal is non-exclusive, which means 50 can produce other shows for other networks. And you better believe he will continue to pump out hits, now for the screen instead of the radio. 50 Cent's unlikely story of success is one that we can all learn from. Don't ever count yourself out. Diversify your streams of income with smart investments, and you don't ever have to be just one thing all your life if you have other aspirations. Just like 50 Cent went from gangster rapper to one of the hottest TV producers in Hollywood, you too can go from wherever you are now to wherever you want to be. That's it for this episode. We'll be back with more Money Talks.